For you, it's been a week. For us, it's been 3.5 minutes. So if you're listening to this and you haven't listened to our previous episode, please do go pick that up. We are continuing the conversation. I said at the end of it that I had a question for you guys.
This here.
And so I do. Can someone who is gentle ever raise their voice?
Mm-hmm.
If you can hear me, touch your nose.
My first response is Jesus would probably be known as gentle.
So,
But does everybody see him that way? Would everybody have seen Jesus that way? That's a good question that you're asking.
Yeah, the raising of the voice, is it like cussing and screaming, or is it just like just a little volume?
just raising your voice.
Is it because your kid's about to run out in the parking lot, or is it just like he's right in front of you? I mean, I don't know. Give me
If
some.
he's running out in the parking lot, you better holler.
Assume no danger.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
assume it's not like.
I think it would be hard to do that and still call yourself gentle, personally.
Yeah. Also understanding, imperfection. So I wouldn't expect someone that we always like label as gentle.
Yeah, like no personality. I don't think it means that either.
Well, yeah, no, but also like I would expect people to screw up. So
To raise their voice, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Would too.
Yeah.
I think
I don't know. I guess I asked that question somewhat rhetorically because who hasn't or doesn't? No one who never does.
Not me.
Because I think the reason I asked that question is because I think that's something that often gets equated with the opposite.
yeah, it does.
And some people think that gentleness is being nice all the time. Being nice. Do you think gentleness and niceness?
Affirming.
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreeing.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe nice isn't the right word, because I don't know how you could be downright mean and still.
Yeah.
Be gentle. Yeah.
But yeah,
Never challenges you. It's kind of something like
yeah,
what we would view.
Yeah, just because they never challenge you. Yeah, sure, that makes sense, and it's probably a better way of.
I still say you can be like I've known people that they didn't raise their voice, they didn't, but they just had this weird, screwy, control the environment type of like kind of, you know what I mean, with their cutting sarcasm, with their like, you could be mean without being like shooting people, you know what I mean, where you like walk into the room and it's just like this.
Oh, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, there are people who, like, they walk into the room and it's like, it's not every time. It's not, but it's like everyone there is going to have to carry what that person is going through or whatever they're wearing on their sleeve.
Yeah.
And it can change things instantly when someone's in that mode.
Yeah.
You used a good phrase when you were talking about coming home and vomiting.
Yeah.
And so I think even if somebody's raised their voice, are they doing it in a vomiting sort of way? You know what I'm saying? They're just kind of
Right.
venting their emotion is probably not gentle. You know what I'm saying? If they are speaking forcefully about something, but in a kind, gentle way, some people say that hurt my feelings too. I've even asked somebody a question before, and they felt like I was being mean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you may think you have a gentle approach, but some people just don't think it. The other thing, culturally, in terms of tone of voice and loudness and so forth, tone of voice is very powerful in terms of whether I look gentle or not. So tone of voice is what we're talking about too, I think. It is important. But culturally, those are understood differently. I was doing a couple, one couple, the husband was from Latin America, from Central America, and his wife was from Hueytown, and they came to me, and she was like, he just hollers at me all the time. And he looked with a genuine expression on his face, and he said, I don't know what she's talking about. And so we kept talking a little bit. He said, and his words, he said, I'm from Puerto Rico. We talk loud about everything.
Yeah.
So in his mind, loudness of voice did not necessarily mean he was not being gentle. Right. In his mind, culturally. In her mind, when he was loud in his voice, it automatically meant that that he was not being gentle. But some of that was a culture difference in their case.
Right.
And we had to talk about that.
Eric, you were saying something that got me thinking about how one of the things I think about, you said something to the effect of when they come into a room that you feel like everyone's got to carry some of that. Like I always think one of the things I've noticed about the two men or the three men that I called the most gentle, I felt like they had their lives in such a place where they could absorb others. You know what I mean? Like that's opposite of what you're saying about, you know, it's like gentle. I don't know. It's just I'm just still learning this word, but like, one of the things I've noticed about both of them, they had time for people. You know what I mean? Like where you could give and they could receive instead of they're just, you know, like that whole thing of coming home. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're at a space where maybe they have other things. Maybe, to your point, maybe it's a combination of some of the fruits of the Spirit, and you get to gentleness because you got a little bit of peace and a little bit of joy. I don't really know how it all works. I just know they had time. When you spent an hour with them, they were like, give me what you got, you know? And they weren't so much into like I'm going to be hard to manage today. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to take a village, you know what I'm saying? And gentle people aren't like that. They're not, I'm not saying they don't have needs and they don't have, I don't know if I'm making any sense.
You're making sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, in our last podcast, we were talking about Uncle Daryl. And I just thought about the incident that he said publicly about it. We said he was a gentleman, Daryl. Eric, you said that. Remember the story about the time when he was out delivering? He was a truck driver and delivering at this store, and he went in and he came out and there was a man in his truck.
He told me
stealing stuff. He was stealing stuff.
Yeah, he said he had a carton of Marlboros under each arm.
Yeah, that's right. And Daryl, who was a gentle man, said he always wondered how he would respond if he saw something like that. And you might remember what he said. He said, "In the name of Jesus, drop it." And the kid dropped everything and ran out of the truck. Now, Daryl said it with a raised voice, intensely, but probably that was the more gentle way to deal with a situation like that instead of pulling a gun or wanting to fist fight him and, you know, that kind of thing, or bump him and that kind of stuff. In the name of Jesus, drop it. But hey, later on he told me, I always wondered why I would do that. He was shocked that the guy dropped it. You know, he didn't know the gentle approach would work. I would call that gentle on Daryl's part in that situation. He probably raised his voice in that situation louder than what he would normally.
Right. So I got a question for you guys. Is that something I mean, I know this is probably a stupid question, but is that something that you can work? Like, I think when you see a gentle person, you're like, oh my God, I just made him that way. We know that Ollie said, no, that's not the case. He hasn't always been that way. Is that just sort of like a person who says, okay, I am not, and I want to be, and I'm going to lay myself down before Jesus, and I want you to make me that? I mean, is that something you can pray for? Like, you know, Solomon prayed for wisdom, or is it just a spiritual maturity thing?
I've seen non-Christian people grow in gentleness. So while yes, it is like, you know, fruit of the Spirit and all that. I think some of it can also be you have to choose to do it yourself. You have to, I think environmentally it can, like, if you grew up with, if you grew up around harsh people,
sure,
you might get outside of that and realize, I don't ever want to be like that. I'm going to change, you know, because I saw what it was like growing up under that or something like that. But I have seen people that I've worked with, in the workplace, you would have called it just like they mellowed out some.
Right.
Yeah.
But they became, a peaceful person, a gentle person. And so I think I think it's some of both. Cause
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I think some of it you do is like stuff that we do to ourselves that stops us from being able to be like, if you're super uptight about, I don't know, something that gets you overly passionate or that frustrates you a lot. A lot of people, I guess an easy one is politics, and you just keep consuming more and more of it. Like that makes you more like just ready to break it or snap at anything.
Yeah.
I think we do that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like I have a better perspective and look on some things and better reactions to some things since I have like, kind of put a stranglehold on, how much I use my phone. So, I mean, so obviously, like, it like Derek said, it's, of course, a fruit of the spirit. And I think there's also things we do too that like make it even harder on ourselves to achieve that stuff.
Well, and I was just thinking of the verse in Proverbs that talks about don't hang around an angry man or you may become angry. Mm-hmm. So that's consistent with what you're talking about, Derek, is that in the environment that we're in, and we're all talking about that environment does make, if you're in a harsh environment, it's, you learn harshness often, and you practice it. You may not even like it in terms of how it affects you, but you think that's the way it works. And so one way we can learn from each other is about gentleness. So you seeing Bob Letson and that example is it spurs you to want to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to be more like that. And so I want to demonstrate that. How all that works itself out, I think, is a combination of things. It's not just what he builds into us spiritually, but it's also like the guys are talking about. Is that it's a matter of learning it from each other and practicing it with each other. I think one way to gentleness is just learn to practice gentleness more.
Yeah, because if it's not in you, you can't give it, right? Like if you don't have it in you, if you're inside, like just. It's a war going on inside of you. It's just turmoil. Mm-hmm. He used to have a business partner, and he would have this line when I would get frustrated. He said, "Chris, every part of your life frustrates you." I said, "Thank you for the encouragement.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I needed that."
Suddenly you're no longer frustrated.
Yeah,
right?
thank you. It worked.
Was he wrong?
No, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. Yeah, but I mean, like, I'm not saying just the awareness of it like fixes it, but it definitely like.
That's a great first step.
It is. Oh wow, because dude, he will start bringing like if you pray, like if you say, Lord, bring. Not all of them, just some of them to my mind. You know what I mean? Like of times that I've, been in situations where I haven't practiced it, well then hopefully what happens is not just those past things that you are reminded of, but then you can land in the present, you know what I mean? Where like, okay, here's some opportunities. Okay. Oh,
the trouble comes when we just say, well, that's just the way I am. You know what I'm saying? My daddy was like that, and I grew up like that. It's just the way I am, Hey, I'm just intense like that. You know what I'm saying? That's just the way I am. That's a lack of awareness of the need for gentleness. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's a lack of, I'm like this and I can't change. I think when you say awareness that I want to be more gentle, I think that's a huge first step toward being able to do it, because you're recognizing a need for it. And you just have to, I think there's no other way to do it but practice it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes more of a natural way of dealing with things.
And you think about like the things that you put into the hearts of the people that you love, that's the part that really, I think, gets to you, when you talk to people like that had problems with whatever, and you say, what made you stop, or well, I became a dad, or I can't, you start thinking those they're going to grow up to be, And what are we pouring in? You know what I'm saying? Or the people that you love the most, I don't know. It's just something that.
Another way that a while back, a pastor friend of mine, Paul Smith, he developed a thing where he would sit down with his employees and say, he would sit down across, he'd say, how do you experience me when you sit across the desk from me? How do you experience me? Which is quite an interesting question for a senior pastor to ask of staff people, or a boss man to ask, or a parent to ask children, how do you experience me when you sit across the table from me?
If I ask my employees that, it's like, are you drunk? Could you imagine doing that? I mean, people think something's wrong with you. You know what I mean?
Why would they think
I'm not
something's
saying
wrong with
not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying I think it's
you? So
like,
unusual.
So yes.
I thought it was unusual too the first time I heard it, but I grew to like it. I actually grew to like it.
You also have to be a person who has proven yourself in a certain way for people to answer that question honestly.
That's correct. That's true.
Because there's people that could have sat me down and asked that, and I'd have been like, "Oh yeah, no, you're great," because I'm like, "Well, I'm not losing my job over this." So,
I see. Like, yeah, I got you.
It's like they call. Is there such thing as an accurate sex survey? Probably not.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
Like we kind of like want to score well on this.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
How many times?
Yeah.
So, but asking yourself that question is, I wonder how they're experiencing me right now would be a good way to do it.
Or those, that book that you gave me that I never read, Questions for Jesus.
Yeah.
Which one?
Which 24 of them?
Which all of
Now
them.
look, if you have never been blessed,
I've given you.
Listen, here's my theory. If Steve hasn't given you a book, you're not alive. Because he
just doesn't know you.
No, he gives. I mean,
Haven't gotten close enough to you. Is that it?
But no, think about, to your point about asking, like, what would be wrong with asking? You love asking Jesus questions.
That's
like,
right.
Jesus, what do you?
How are you experiencing me? Am I gentle today?
Right.
He'll talk to you and he'll tell you.
And how can I be gentle? Can you teach me?
What would gentleness look like in this situation?
Right. Who's the long-haired guy that's real popular in Christian music now? Is doing a lot of crossover stuff.
Brandon Lake.
Okay, that guy.
Is it? Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Tattoos.
Sounds like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Cowboys and Jesus and something about, I don't know. Anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, he's got
Go
a.
ahead.
Anyway, the point is, I saw him in an interview one time, and he was just asking Jesus a question, like, what do you think about me? And that almost sounds silly to someone who's never done it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was one of the most incredible interviews I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Now he may be full of crap, but he seems super genuine. And he started crying, and they said, what did he say? And he said, I think you're funny. Mm-hmm. And he started laughing as he was crying, and I was like, man, that's a cool way to talk to Jesus, And I think if we want to talk to him about anything, we can. But on that particular day, I was asking him. He was talking to me, and I was talking to him about gentleness.
That's right.
And
That's
so
cool.
we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, it's already going good because you're talking about it and thinking about it and asking him more questions about it.
And we got a darn burn episode out of it.
Did you log it as a New Year's resolution to be more gentle?
Then it's not real.
No?
Well, one of my least favorite things, and we digress, but when it comes to the turn of the year is when people want to give you a word. Give a word. They'll go around the room and everybody's got to give a word. Yeah. I'm like, I'm about to give you a word.
You're not very gentle in that moment?
I'm not gentle. Like, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to take some fruit home. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Yeah. I'm not a turn of the year kind of guy with that.
Then they have
sort
to,
of thing.
but they start all that by proclaiming the year of the Lord's favor, and then they give you a word.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to say that there's anything wrong with that, but
I guess not. Well, you have to report back. We need a progress report. Like, I don't know, in 6 weeks or something. I'm just kidding.
And maybe sometime we can talk about how the rest of these fruits of the Spirit fit in and how they connect.
Yeah, and maybe we bring in the employees of the Epic Company and my family, and that's who
And
gives the
interview.
report. You know what I mean?
There you go.
That would be more accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6-month evaluation, maybe.
Yeah,
Let's maybe not do that.
It's not.
Yeah. And we're not going to go through every single fruit of the spirit here. This was not part one of so many.
No,
Yeah.
I understand that.
So all of you who froze, all three of you who froze when you heard that.
We'll see you in April.
Fast forward through this.
Yeah. But guys, it's good to be back.
Sir.
And back with y'all recording again. So, Chris, thanks for bringing this to our attention. And so for Derek and Steve and Chris behind the cameras, my name's Eric. It's been Preacher in the Hat. See you next time.